Hello, welcome to Secret Zone. Subscribe and turn on notifications for stories you won't forget. The phone vibrated softly on the nightstand just as the morning light began to slip through the curtains. It was one of those quiet moments when the world feels paused, when you expect nothing more than another ordinary day to begin. I remember staring at the screen for a second before picking it up, half asleep, completely unaware that those few words were about to split my life in two. The message was short, casual, almost careless. There was no warning, no drama, no emotion attached to it, and that was exactly what made it terrifying. My first reaction wasn't anger or panic, it was confusion. I read it again. 10 on some more, telling myself I was misunderstanding the tone, the meaning, the intention. Surely this wasn't what it sounded like. Surely my marriage couldn't be undone by a single morning text. I put the phone down, rubbed my face, and tried to laugh it off. People send strange messages sometimes. People explain things later. That's what I told myself. But deep down, in a place I didn't want to listen to, something had already shifted. The air felt heavier. The silence in the room felt louder. And for the first time in a long while, I felt alone while lying next to the person I loved most. Before that morning, I believed I had a strong, loving marriage. We weren't perfect, but we were real. We laughed together, shared routines, argued over small things, and made up before the day ended. I loved my wife deeply, not in a dramatic movie-style way, but in the steady, loyal way that grows when two people build a life together. I trusted her completely. I admired her confidence, her independence, the way she could walk into a room and own it without trying. I supported her dreams and her long workdays, and I never questioned her loyalty because I never imagined I'd have to. To me, marriage was about faith, believing in someone even when life got busy, even when conversations became shorter and nights quieter. I thought that was enough. I thought love meant patience and understanding, even when things felt slightly off. Looking back now, I can see the small changes I ignored. The late replies, the distracted smiles, the way her phone never left her hand. At the time, I explained everything away. Stress, work pressure, exhaustion. Life does that to people. Told myself. I didn't want to be the suspicious husband. I didn't want to ruin something good by doubting it. So when she joked sometimes about needing space, or laughed about how unpredictable life could be, I laughed too. I chose comfort over truth, because the truth felt too dangerous to touch. That morning text was different, though it didn't feel like a joke. It felt final, even though it didn't say goodbye. It felt like the tip of a story that had been happening without me for a long time. As I sat there, holding the phone, memories began to surface, moments that suddenly felt heavier, words that sounded different now. I realized how easy it is to miss the warning signs when your heart is involved. Love has a way of protecting us from pain by blinding us to reality. That morning, I wasn't just reading a message. I was standing at the edge of a truth I wasn't ready for. I still loved my wife. That love didn't disappear with the message. If anything, it made the fear sharper. I wanted an explanation. I wanted reassurance. I wanted to believe that everything could go back to normal with a simple conversation. But somewhere inside, I knew that normal was already gone. One careless text had opened a door I could never close again, and my marriage, something I thought was solid and safe, was about to change forever. It all began on a seemingly ordinary morning. The sun streamed softly through the bedroom curtains, painting stripes of light across the sheets. I was still half asleep, relishing the quiet comfort of the home I had built with my wife, Sophia. We had been married for several years, and our life together had been peaceful, loving, and filled with the small joys of companionship. That morning, however, felt slightly different. There was an unease I couldn't put my finger on, a subtle shift in the air. Then my phone buzzed. A simple text, one short sentence, casually typed, but it hit me harder than any argument or fight ever could. Crashed at Siras. Don't worry, love you. At first, I laughed nervously, thinking it must be a joke or a misunderstanding. Sophia had always been playful, often sending cheeky texts to tease me, but something in the casual tone, the lack of explanation, the absence of a caring sign, made my stomach twist. This wasn't playful. This wasn't harmless. This was deliberate. I stared at the phone, my mind spinning. Memories of small, odd incidents began surfacing late nights at work. Unexplained messages, distant smiles when checking her phone. I had brushed them off, telling myself I was overthinking. I wanted to trust her. I had always trusted her. Love had always been about faith for me, faith. In Sophia's loyalty, in our bond, in our shared life. As the hours passed, the initial confusion and disbelief gave way to an ache of dread. I tried calling her, messaging her, hoping for an innocent explanation, something that would reassure me it was all a misunderstanding. But my calls went unanswered. My messages were ignored. The silence was deafening, filled with a growing certainty I was not ready to confront. I remembered her words over the past month's jokes about taking a break, casual comments about needing space, laughter that hid something behind it. Every warning sign I had ignored now felt like a lesson I had failed to learn. That morning, the playful, loving woman I had always known became unrecognizable, and the trust we had built began to crumble before my eyes. By evening, when Sophia returned home, her demeanor was calm, almost proud, as if she had accomplished something. She was smiling, chatting, pretending nothing had happened. Fresh makeup, her favorite dress, her radiant charm, everything about her screamed normalcy. And yet, I knew it was all a performance. Every word she said, every smile she offered, had a hidden edge. The joke, I realized, had never been funny. The foundation of our marriage had shifted without my knowledge, and that one morning text had been the tipping point. That night, as I lay beside her, unable to sleep, I made a decision. Love did not mean ignoring reality. Love did not mean pretending everything was fine. And though my heart ached for her, for us, I knew I had to confront the truth, no matter how painful it would be. The morning text had changed my marriage forever, and there was no turning back. The following day was a blur of questions and silent fears. I tried to go about my normal routine, but every thought circled back to that text. Why? How long had this been happening? Who was this Sarah? My mind raced, piecing together fragments of past conversations, small inconsistencies, moments I had naively dismissed. I remembered the Uber receipt I had noticed weeks earlier on Sophia's email. She had forgotten to log out of her account. The pickup was ordinary enough, but the drop-off location was a boutique hotel in the city center. At the time, I hadn't given it much thought. Now, it screamed betrayal. My pulse quickened, and a cold clarity washed over me. I wasn't imagining things. Primera a de proof. Later that evening, I confronted her gently, hoping for honesty, hoping for the chance to understand before reacting. Sophia laughed it off, claiming it was innocent, that she had spent the night comforting a friend who was unwell. Her words were practiced, her charm intact, but her eyes avoided mine. I could see the lie buried beneath the smile, and a part of me ached, knowing I had ignored subtle warnings for so long. That night, I sat alone in our living room, reflecting on every memory of our years together. I remembered our laughter, our long walks in the park, our quiet nights talking about dreams and fears. The love was still there, but so was the betrayal. I realized love is complicated. It is not blind, and it is not enough to simply trust. Actions speak louder than words, and her actions had already spoken. I began collecting evidence quietly, building a timeline of moments that now made sense in the light of truth. Texts, receipts, messages, unexplained absences. They all painted a picture I wished I hadn't had to see, but with clarity came strength. I wasn't going to react impulsively. I needed to protect myself, my heart, and everything I had built. Sophia's carelessness had made the choice clear. She had already decided, whether consciously or not, that our marriage was secondary to her desires. A week later, I invited Sophia's parents over for dinner, carefully planning the evening to appear normal. My heart was heavy, but I needed witnesses. People who had always cared for us both. The house smelled of roasted chicken and fresh bread, the table set with wine and candles. I maintained a calm demeanor, joking lightly, laughing with them, while inside I prepared for the storm. After dinner, I connected my laptop to the television and opened a folder I had quietly titled The Truth. Screenshots, messages, receipts, Hotel records, all of it displayed on the screen. Sophia's expression shifted instantly. Pride and charm melted into panic and shame. Her parents looked on in shock and disbelief. I spoke calmly, letting every word land with weight. I gave you my loyalty, my love, and my trust. You gave me lies and betrayal. Our marriage is over. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. My quiet strength carried the message more powerfully than anger ever could. Sophia tried to justify herself, stammering excuses, but the evidence was undeniable. That night, the illusion of our marriage fell away, and the reality of her choice became painfully clear. Even in that moment, my love for her didn't vanish. It was still there, quietly buried beneath hurt and betrayal. But love alone couldn't save a marriage where trust had been shattered. The confrontation was not about punishment, it was about acknowledgement. I needed her, and everyone else, to see the truth. And in doing so, I began reclaiming my own strength, my own life. In the days that followed, I took control of our shared life. I secured our finances, consulted a lawyer, and began the process of ending the marriage with dignity and certainty. Sophia tried to reach me, checks, calls, visits, but I remained firm. There was no negotiation. She had already made her choice. The divorce proceeded quickly, with all evidence clearly supporting my case. Sophia's social circle turned away from her. Whispers of betrayal spread, and she was left facing the consequences of her actions. I didn't celebrate her. Folly merely stepped into freedom. For the first time in months, I could breathe without doubt or fear. Rebuilding wasn't easy. Nights felt empty, and memories haunted me. But over time, I rediscovered myself, strengthened by the realization that love and respect must be mutual. I found solace in friends, in work, and in quiet reflection. The pain of betrayal remained, but it no longer controlled me. Through it all, I understood the most important lesson. Trust is sacred, and love cannot survive without it. One morning text had changed my marriage forever, but it also changed me. It freed me to value honesty, clarity, and strength. And though I loved Sophia deeply, I loved myself enough to walk away and build a life that would never allow such betrayal to take root again. Even now, when I look back at that morning, I can still feel the sting of her careless words. That one text didn't just reveal her betrayal, it revealed the fragility of trust, the quiet weight of love, and how easily a heart can be shattered when faith is broken. I loved Sophia with every part of me, more than I ever thought possible. But love alone could not save a marriage when honesty was absent. I walked away not because I stopped loving her, but because I had to love myself enough to stop being hurt. In the quiet moments, I still remember the laughter we shared, the late-night talks, the gentle touch of her hand. Those memories will always remain, a bittersweet reminder of what once was. And yet, walking away taught me something no love story could have taught. Strength is not in holding on when everything is slipping, but in knowing when to let go with dignity, grace, and self-respect. She lost more than our marriage that day. She lost the warmth of my heart, my trust, and the sanctuary I offered. And I gained clarity, resilience, and the freedom to rebuild my life on my own terms. The love I once poured into her remains, quiet and unbroken, but it is now a lesson rather than a chain. One morning text changed my marriage forever, but it also changed me, making me stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace a life that honors my heart above all else. Sometimes love is not about holding on, but about letting go with hope that the future can bring honesty, peace, and a love that never asks you to question your worth. And with that, I finally found closure, not in revenge, not in anger, but in the calm understanding that walking away was the bravest act of love I could give to myself.